Welcome back to Ozarks tonight. Well, Steve Pokin of the Springfield News Leader is joining us once again on the program. And Steve, this week you did a little digging for a caller who wanted to have some questions about some calls he was receiving answered. What did you find out?
I received an email from a guy named George Freeman. George worked at the News Leader, the paper where I work, years ago. He left in '95. I didn't start until 2012. But he gets his health care coverage through Mercy, and he had a particular question. It's an irksome thing that he says that they do, and he calls it robocalling. Mercy doesn't call it that. They call it something else. What happens is that, as George explained it to me, is both he and his wife have a Mercy doctor. Their phone will ring, and they'll pick up their phone, and the caller ID will say it's a call that'll mention their doctor's name from the doctor's office. So what would you do if you got a call from your doctor's office?
You got to pick it up,
You
right?
better pick that up.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of, it's like to me, it's like a call from your immediate boss. Better respond to it. But time and time again, it's a recorded message offering different services from Mercy Springfield. Screenings, blood pressure checks for women, mammograms. Have you thought about a colonoscopy? Things to kind of monitor your health. He says and he sent me an email. He wants to put an end to this. And I think part of the greater context, and George is 71, and I'm not sure that age is a big part of this, but he feels like he's just inundated with, he says he gets mail that's kind of designed to look like it's a census questionnaire, but it's selling hearing aids. He gets other calls where people are trying to disguise the caller ID who's really calling. You got to be careful online for scams. And he finds it particularly annoying that his healthcare provider is finding a way, in his mind, to get him to answer his phone in a deceptive fashion by saying it's his doctor's office, when it's really not his doctor's office and it's not really his doctor.
Now, you were able to speak with a spokesperson from Mercy. What did they have to say about these calls?
Well, I made two calls. I made, obviously, the call to Mercy. But then I wondered, the other healthcare system is Cox Health, so I contacted Cox. And first of all, with Cox, I'm told they don't do this. They will do an automated system for, you got an appointment coming up, and that's usually 48 to 72 hours. They will promote and market their services, but they do that via email or letter. They don't do what Mercy is doing. Mercy, their spokesperson says this is not marketing. It is not telemarketing. It is the best way to keep people healthy is to get them to do some routine screening before they get sick. It keeps the cost of health care down. They can opt out by contacting their provider. And we don't want people to cancel the service because we think it is a good thing. So in this particular case, George Freeman is the guy who contacted me. I shared that response with him. I said, okay, here's the answer to your question. What do you say? And I used some of what he said, and some of it I didn't use. But I thought it was important, and he was pretty adamant. He says, I don't mind the calls about you got an appointment coming up, you got to make it. But if you got a duck, don't call it a goose. This is telemarketing. You are trying to sell me on one of your services, and that's exactly what it is. So.
Sure, and Mercy, didn't they say there are ways for folks to maybe opt out of those calls or find another avenue on their services that they could receive the same type of notifications possibly.
I know George had tried. He had sent me a copy of an email that he sent to Mercy saying stop this and complaining. That apparently hasn't stopped it. But what I got from Mercy is I think he needs to call his doctor, which is kind of extra burden to do to stop these what he considers to be very annoying calls.
Definitely. Well, all of this is going to be detailed in the column coming out Sunday?
Sunday's paper, yep.
All right, very good. It'll all be there. If people have questions and they're having the same experience, they can check it out there. Steve Pokin of the Springfield News Leader. Steve, thank you as always for coming on into the studio.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, we'll see you next time, and we'll have more Ozarks Tonight right after the break.